In this video, I'm going to react to how fighter pilots learn to fly the Marine Corps F-35. Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of Kabir Considers. This is the place where I react to music, media, sports, anime, anything related to popular culture. I'll watch it with an open mind and give you my 100% honest reaction to it. And if you could please hit that like button early, I'd really appreciate it. Now, this is going to be really fascinating for me just because, as you guys probably know by now, or the people who have, been following this channel for a while, I've got a real interest, a real keen interest in military hardware, be that weaponry or aircraft, whatever it is. If it's military, I'm interested in. And the F-35, to my knowledge, is the UK's most advanced military aircraft, as well as I believe the US. The thing is, because the F-22 isn't sold to overseas partners of the US, I believe it's kept domestic. I'm like in a straight dogfight, I'm aware that the F-22 would probably come out on top against the F-35. However, the F-35's technological capabilities, from my understanding, outweigh those of the F-22. It's a multi-use, multi-purpose fighter jet. It's capable of doing more things, and the radar technology, I believe, is more advanced. So this is going to be really interesting just to see, because I imagine that aside from showing us how the fighter pilots train, they're going to probably discuss what kind of technology is incorporated into the cockpit of the F-35. So let's go. This is going to be me reacting to how Marine Corps fighter pilots train to fly the F-35. Let's do it.
This is the F-35B Lightning II.
Just look at that thing.
The Marine Corps' multi-role fighter jet is equipped with the most advanced sensor suite of any fighter in history.
I'm glad they confirmed that, because I did suspect it did have the most advanced. I wasn't sure if it was sensor tech or radar tech, but I believe both are probably one and the same.
And the most powerful engine of any jet in the world, which can reach a top speed of 1,200 miles per hour.
It's just revolutionized what fighter aircraft are capable of.
That is a fast plane,
and
man.
These are the pilots training to fly that $100 million aircraft.
$100 million. $100 million.
We'll just think, you show up, fly, and then go home, have a beer, but it's not all like that.
Not only are you flying, but you're talking on 4 different radios. You're working the radar, you're working the T-FLIR, you're working the electrical optical system there, while you're still navigating, talking to ATC, and then working weapons on top of that.
Student pilots spend a year training to fly the F-35 Bravo here at the Marine Corps Air Station in Beaufort, South Carolina. This is a pilot's last stop before getting deployed to a fleet squadron overseas. And it's here they learn to handle the multi-role.
I mean, just look at the aesthetics of that plane. It's just, if you were to take this plane, right, go back in time to, the Wright brothers, I think that was about 100 years ago, something like that. What would they think? What would they say?
Fighter jet in a variety of missions.
We do strikes, so aerial interception. We do OCA, DCA, so offensive counter-air, defensive counter-air, arm reconnaissance, and then really the bread and butter though is SEAD, so suppression of enemy air defenses.
The pilots we met are part of Marine Fighter Attack Squadron 501, also known as the Warlords.
Once you complete here, they send you out to the fleet squadrons, out in
Now that is a mighty moustache.
or Japan.
Student pilots in the training squadron have already completed flight school, so training is focused specifically on operating
vertical landing.
The F-35B.
Eventually, every fighter pilot that comes through the Marine Corps is going to go fly an F-35.
I'm Michael Watts. I'm a major in the Marine Corps. My grandfather was a pilot in World War II, and I would always go to his house, see his models of his B-25 bomber. And also my father was a Navy pilot in Vietnam. So I kind of grew up with it, in my blood.
Wow.
Right here, we're just basically starting, you learn how to fly the airplane, and then you go through all the different mission sets and basic skills.
Because there are only so many jets that can fly at a time, most of the pilot's instruction comes on
Look at the view. Did you see the view? Oh.
ground, in the simulator and in the classroom. We weren't allowed to film some classified aspects of the pilot's instruction. But we were allowed to film the pilots practicing the aircraft's most unique capabilities, and go behind the scenes as they suited up for a training mission. During training, it's crucial for the pilots to get comfortable executing the F-35B's STOVL maneuvers, because they'll have to master those techniques on an aircraft carrier.
Really, the main thing is when we fly off the ship. So when I get out to Japan here in a few weeks, I'll eventually be learning how to fly off the ship. How do we get on there? We do vertical landings. How do we take off? We do short takeoffs.
Does the F-35 have thrust vectoring? Is that what I just saw with the engine, the exhaust of the engine moving? Like, let me know. Let me know if that's true or not.
So that's really the big reason why we're doing that.
Lockheed Martin makes 3 variations of the F-35 Lightning II, but the Marine Corps' F-35 Bravo is the only one with STOVL capabilities. This feature is a big reason why the Marine Corps' 2019 aviation plan called for replacing its current fleet of aircraft with more than 350 F-35Bs.
350 F-35s at 100 million apiece. Whew! Whew! That's $35 billion. God.
Replacing all of the Hornets, all of the Harriers, and all the Prowlers with F-35s?
Conventional jets need about 3,000 feet for takeoff, but in optimal conditions, an F-35B can take off in just a couple hundred feet.
For a takeoff, we get onto the runway, and then at that point is when we initiate a conversion. We literally just hit a button, and then the plane goes through its transformer sequence, right?
Just does it by itself.
Once that's complete, we're now what's called STOVL mode. There's different kinds of short takeoffs we can do. My favorite's the button. It's called a button stow. And as I'm accelerating down the runway, and literally just click a button, and then the plane will take off by itself. It's pretty incredible.
Dude, just the way that plane's nose just went upward, just slow as you like, just took off. Beautiful.
And then shortly after takeoff, we can convert back to conventional mode once we get to a certain airspeed.
Once in the air, actually handling the jet isn't the most difficult aspect of operating it.
It's actually a really easy airplane to fly. It's more difficult to process the amount of information it provides to you, I would say, knowing where to look at the right time.
The student pilots already have experience flying jets, so much of their training is focused on utilizing technology unique to the F-35B.
A lot of the difficulty is trying to absorb all of the information the jet's given you, operate all the sensors and the systems at the same time, and fly. And really, that's probably the #1 struggle.
Once a practice mission is complete, pilots must take on another of the jet's unique features, executing a vertical landing.
Having never done it, it was an experience. My brain telling me not to slow down, because in the Hornet, slow down, that meant you're going to fall out of the sky.
It's a normal approach to landing, as if you're going to the runway, right? And then you're going to level off and then set a certain ground speed. And then at a certain distance from the pad, you're going to start a deceleration. And all that is just a click of a button. And then from there, you're making sure that you're centered on the pad, then you just push forward on the stick and then descend right onto the pad.
That's interesting because, considering how advanced this plane is, I would have thought that this would be another thing that's automated, that that the plane can sense that you want to come to a stop, or you press a button and it just knows that you intend to stop and land, and it just does it for you. I'm surprised that the pilots still have to do this part themselves.
I would say the first time doing a vertical landing in the F-35B is pretty crazy. You practice it a lot in the sim. You do it, dozens of times in the simulator. But the first time you do it in the plane, just slowing down for the first time like that and hovering over a pad with over 30,000 pounds of metal, 150 feet in the air is pretty neat.
Look at that.
Usually you have the world kind of coming at you when you're flying, right? And so you're kind of sitting there, just looking outside as if you're in the tower or something, and you trust that you're fine there, that you're still flying.
Before stepping foot in the cockpit, student pilots need to familiarize themselves with the gear needed to operate the F-35B. starting with their anti-gravity suit, which helps prevent them from losing consciousness while operating the jet.
Yeah, the G's, right?
It's a fabric material that has bladders inside of it, and whenever you pull G, it uses pressure from the engine to inflate, and then it prevents your blood from pulling down to your legs, and it pushes it up to your abdomen as much as possible.
I need to find a G simulator because I'm one of those dudes who thinks that, you know, they can handle a lot more G's than they probably actually can.
Pilot's G-suit is custom made to fit perfectly around their lower body.
And then we have a flight jacket that we put on, and it has a bunch of survival gear.
The pilot's flight jacket is filled with a multitude of survival tools in the event that they have to eject from the aircraft, including a flare, emergency strobe light, compass, survival knife, extra water, whistle,
Look
radio,
at all this stuff.
and an oxygen mask.
They have a code card for hand and arm signals, just signal search and rescue basically. Then they have a signaling mirror, just signal the aircraft with just a mirror and a reflection.
Some less conventional survival tools are supplied by the pilots themselves.
I always try to take my wallet in case I have to land somewhere else other than back here. That's happened to me before. You land somewhere and you have to stay the night and you don't have any wallet or phone or anything, which is kind of difficult. So definitely take my wallet with me every time.
In the event the pilots have to eject from the jet, their flight jacket is embedded with a unique safety feature.
There's arm restraint lines that are routed throughout the jacket. When you eject, they pull your arms basically in towards your body. You're basically ensuring that your arms aren't going to get flailed out into the wind.
The jacket is also equipped with a flotation device in case the pilot has to eject over a body of water.
So as soon as it touches the water, it will inflate the entire jacket, so they don't have to do anything if their arms are broken or anything.
That's really, really clever.
After ejection.
Last but not least, the pilots learn to utilize the most technologically advanced piece of equipment, their $400,000 helmets.
Whoa! 400 grand? 400 grand? Cool.
Each helmet is custom fit to its wearer, based on a 3D scan of the pilot's head. It's also equipped with noise-canceling headphones, night vision, and a forward-facing camera that records each flight. The pilot's heads-up display is projected directly onto their visor rather than on the glass at the front of the cockpit, thanks to two small projectors inside the helmet. This allows the pilot to easily view key data, such as altitude, airspeed, and direction.
I mean, okay, everything he said there sounds very impressive, you know, highly useful, must make the pilot's life very, well, not very easy, but much easier than previous pilots from previous generations of aircraft. But I didn't hear value to the sum of 400,000. 40,000 is still a huge amount of money, and that, to me, would pay for all of that stuff that they mentioned. That number sounded really inflated.
The jet is able to help us so much, really flying should be second nature. That way you can focus on all of the information that the jet's giving you.
Finally, the F-35's distributed aperture system creates a 360-degree view of the jet's surroundings by stitching together feeds from 6 cameras mounted on the plane, enabling the pilot to see through the base and walls of the aircraft.
Okay, that's impressive.
I think a lot of people underestimate the amount of work it takes to become a pilot, and a fighter pilot specifically.
A 1-hour flight, even a simulated one, might mean up to 6 additional hours of briefing, gearing up, flight inspections, and debriefing. Not to mention the hours spent studying for each mission.
So you could spend a whole day preparing and debriefing 1 single hour of flight.
Crazy.
I think it's awesome to be in the 5th generation stealth fighter, kind of at the tip of the spear. It's a heavily weighted aircraft in terms of the combat power that the Marine Corps brings to the fight, and I'm honored to be a part of that. It's definitely pretty cool to, carry on that tradition, talk to my dad about everything that I'm doing now and how it relates to what he did. All the airports that he flew into, some of the ones that I've flown into as well, so he has stories.
That's
pretty
awesome.
neat.
That's awesome. Wow, that is a very, very impressive piece of hardware. Just when you see it do things like vertically land, vertically take off, the thrust vectoring that I believe I saw where the nozzle of the exhaust kind of moved. It was just, it's amazing how far we've come as you know, as a species, when you consider the fact that, you know, 80 years ago life looked really, really different. You know, we didn't, like 100 years ago, we barely had cars. You know, now look at what we can do. We can create aircraft, you know, that can fly at 1,200 miles an hour, you know, for hours. Just, you know, the radar technology, it's just insane. I love just seeing how far we've come and how far we're going to go. Just unbelievable jet, the F-35. What a plane. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, turn on bell notifications, and keep throwing the recommendations my way. I know I say it all the time, but they genuinely help me out, because if I know you enjoyed watching something, I'll definitely enjoy reacting to it. So like, subscribe, turn on bell notifications, keep throwing the recommendations, and I'll catch you in the next one.